Hello and welcome to brick tip number 41. If you had watched yesterday's video, you will know that I built a brick-built curved section and it turned out wonderfully, but I had an issue because it doesn't work as a right-hand turn. And as I explained in that video, that is because this is built so the studs are on the top, the anti-studs are on the bottom, so that it works in one direction but not so well in the other. It's actually off by a millimeter because the widths of the road are different. So my challenge was to design a right-handed turn, and I did. Now you're gonna say, oh, that looks exactly the same as the other one. And it does. Well, not exactly the same. It looks very similar. The real challenge here was that I had to use inverted bricks versus a regular slope. That might not seem like a big deal until you look at the molds for these. So we'll focus you in and maybe you can see that little tiny difference, fractions of a millimeter, made this build much more complicated. Because of course, if you know anything about engineering and error, if you make one error and then you compound that error by making another error, etc., etc., and then you take all those errors and slap them together, it is going to make a big difference. So this one has the perfect seam. You can't even see any gap in there. Unfortunately, this one has some obvious gaps. Now, not bad. It works. It will definitely, I think in a cityscape, you won't even notice that gappage. You won't at all. What you might notice is down here, I really had to play with the design at the bottom, because if I had stacked these as I did in here where they're 6 high, this actually came out by another full stud width. Or full brick width, I should say. I wasn't happy with that. I wanted to figure out a way to keep it so that the dimensions looked exactly the same. So if you just at a glance looked at both curves, you would say that they were very similar. I kept the angles the same. The difference is that we have on the big end, we have the studs on the top here. On the small end, we have the anti-studs, which is the opposite of the other one, obviously. Okay, so before I break this apart, I actually wanted to show you, I did fix the curbs. I did some trickery here to make it look like they're all aligned up, but you can see where I just hit that. That's only held together by just one stud in the middle, and same with this one. They are not held in place at all, and there is a pip there just to act as a spacer to fill that great big gap I was talking about. So let's take this off, and you can see I used one of those tiles with the 2 studs on the end that are usually made for break apart buildings, and then another tile under here, so that lets that kind of float free. I tried all manner of hinges and everything, but this is the only thing that worked. And at the end, it worked fine. Now down here again, I did the same kind of thing where I had to play around with some bricks and stuff and come up with a solution for that. So this is just a single stud sitting there, and this can ride freely on it. And on the other side, it has a bit more of a connection, but again, we use that tile with the 2 studs on the ends. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to tear this down for you so you can see how the internals work. So we'll just get these off. And the back goes together in the same way. We have the two clips and bars. You'll notice they're reversed in this case. I really had to play with that a bit to figure out which works best, and this way is the way that works best. So let's take it apart. So again, we have our staggered slopes and bricks, and that gives us that nice zigzaggy kind of line. We had to go 3 high for the slopes, which we did in the original one. But the difference here, and the reason that there's an error, is because on the other end where it connects up to this slope, this side is actually 3 bricks high as well. Whereas in the original build, it was 2 bricks and 2 plates. Because of that, it doesn't quite want to sit right. It looks like it's right. Let me focus that in again so you can see. So it looks like it would fit perfect, but that little lip there is causing the problems. You can see down here where that lip goes just above the line there, and that's what's causing all the issues. It's literally a fraction of a millimeter, but fractions of a millimeter add up over an entire distance. So as far as that construction, you can see it was 3 bricks, 3 bricks, 3 bricks, all the way down. The whole thing is 3 bricks, and then we stagger our slopes. Again, we're using this inverted slope to hold this in place so it doesn't wobble at all like we did in the other one. And finally, down at the bottom here is where the trickery really comes into play, because I mentioned I couldn't go 6 high here on both, or 3 high for the slopes on both sides. So I had to play around with figuring out something that would fill the gap, and this is the best I could come up with. And I will say I'm not entirely 100% happy with this, but it works. So if we take this off, down here you can see how this construction is done. So there's our clip at the bottom, or our bar at the bottom, sorry. And we have a bunch of plates in here, but this is held together by just a single stud on the side brick with a regular 2x brick, and then our grill piece, or vent piece. And then the bottom here, I couldn't find a way to fill that gap properly, so we've had to take a plate with a 1x1 plate and a 1x1 tile and use that to fill the gap. So it does work, but I can definitely see me playing around with this design some more to try to get rid of those gaps, and definitely to try to fix this bottom piece. I'm just not at all happy with that. Alright, so that's how it works. I'm not going to break it down like I did with the other one, because you saw how that construction worked. But what I will do is I'll put all these together so you can see the roadway in action, and we'll get a little car and drive it around. Okay, so we have our 3 road sections here. I'm going to show you how this all connects together. All you need are 2x4 plates. You'll lock in the top, lock in the bottom, do the same on the next road section, top and bottom. No movement at all. So that is perfect. Now we have a nice gradual turn. We can adjust this a little bit. Maybe not, because now it's jamming a bit up there. So yeah, I'm not 100% happy with these curbs yet. This is something I will continue to work on. Okay, So let's give it a test though on a standard 6x car. Focus it here. And there we go. We have a beautifully working roadway. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe and share it around so that others can enjoy it. If you wish to support us on Patreon, you can do that. We also have our Facebook page and other social feeds where you can join in the conversation. And don't forget about our Play Well Bricks 1000 contest, where you can win a $100 Canadian Lego gift card and a Lego VIP set. The details are in the discussion. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic day. Keep dreaming in bricks. Bye bye.